Hello, everyone. Mackie here, and welcome back to the mid-season Madness team preview. We are officially in day 10 of this mega preview, and we are down to only two teams and two teams only. In this wheel are the consensus 1A and 1B favorites to win MSI. Hanwha Life Esports, who just fresh off winning Road to MSI, and BLG recently won LPL Split 1 first and LPL Split 2 from an incredible loser bracket run. Of course, there is a lot of things that could go on in MSI that makes you feel like BLG, nor Hanwha Life Esports could win it. But consider how really strong they are, they could have some weaknesses, of course. You just never know. You just never know on a given day. So, without any further ado, if you like this entire channel, please like, comment, subscribe to this and any more of this League of Legends stuff, especially in MSI times. And we're almost to 100 subscribers. We're trying our best to do it before MSI is over, or Worlds is over, or even a year is over, whichever comes first. And after this team preview, I will show you what kind of content you will get throughout this entire MSI. Maybe shorts, maybe long form, who knows. But it's something that is going to be really interesting to you guys. So please stay tuned for all of that. And it's now time for the penultimate time to spin the wheel. Hanwha Life Esports tournament. And by the way, one little stat, of course, is that they were first stand champions in 2025, the first edition of it. But it's not the first stand, from this year. It's more like a glorified, group stage and all that stuff. But regardless, Hanwha Life Esports are in their first MSI ever and going in as one of the favorites to win, alongside BLG. But how do I think this team will perform in MSI, and how will the players do, and all this kind of stuff? I think we all know where I'm going to go with this. Mr. Poro, do your thing.
Hey guys, Poro here with another MSI 2026 team breakdown, this time for HLE from the LCK. HLE earned themselves the number one seed from a
hold on. Too fast, Akeem. Too fast. Slow it down, all right?
very interesting format, the same one that LCK used last year. They use a gauntlet-style playoffs bracket where teams are placed based on their regular season standings, and then they have to play their way up the ladder. HLE was the best regular season team, so they were put directly into a qualifying match against the 2 seed T1, and by winning that, they punched their ticket to MSI as the top seed. While some people don't consider this a legitimate title due to the weird format and lack of matches, I personally just log it as one since it's the best you can do for a split, and the old LCK format had the top seed only needing to win one series to get a title anyway, so I don't think it's all that different. Either way, HLE have had quite the funny year so far, mainly due to them seemingly being illegitimized by every LCK format possible. You've got the weird Split 2 title, but in Split 1, they were also dealt a worst case scenario result from format, placing 10th on a couple of technicalities. Due to this placement, HLE have been the butt of many jokes globally this year, and opinions surrounding the team seem to be warped a bit against their favor. Something to understand real quick is that despite HLE having a 10 on the standings for Split 1, they weren't actually the worst team, far from it. Their series record was a tied 5th place, and they only dropped to 10th because their game score was the lowest in their group, and that group was the group who scored less points. The format also had each team play only one best of 5 against one random opponent, and HLE's BO5 was against Gen G, the best team that split, meaning their game score was heavily weighed against them. Realistically, HLE was a top 5 performing team, but just got severely unlucky in more ways than one. So, heading into Split 2, they were still one of the teams favored to be in those top 3 conversations. When they ended regular season in first, it wasn't the most surprising result in the world, and I think HLE being Korea's 1 seed is completely deserved, despite what some people may say online. For their 2026 roster, they've made 2 massive changes from last year, as both Peanut and Viper departed from the team, leaving 2 huge names in Kanavi and Gumayusi to replace them. The top laner for the
So basically, it almost feels like Hanwha Life Esports got screwed over by the format, not by their poor performance. Yeah, LCK format. It's a little bit weirdish to be honest. Well, listen, I understand LCK wanted to do this like entire season being like this one massive split, but at the same time, it's like, guys, can you just give us a double elimination format and just run with it? Like, I understand that the LCS and the LEC and all the other regions are doing it differently, of course, but can we just go back to like have three splits and three championships? I understand it's a little convoluted sometimes, but just can we go back to that, please, please? Anyways, let's talk about Zeus.
Team is Zeus, who is currently one of the best top laners in the entire world, if not fighting for that number one spot. Many people should be familiar with him at this point, as he's a three-time international champion who was part of T1's most beloved roster. He specializes in carry picks, always looking to win lanes and team fights through his high mechanical skill. In his first year away from T1 in 2025, though, things weren't completely smooth sailing for him. His split 1 was incredibly strong, and he continued showing solid play for different portions of the year, but his split 3 and Worlds left some to be desired, leaving people unsure if leaving T1 was the best choice for his individual growth. Here in 2026, though, that hasn't been a problem so far. Against some of the best competition out there, he's destroying everyone on a wide array of strong lane bullies like Jace, Rumble, and Vayne, and he's also had stellar side lane play with a lot of games on Yorick, Gnar, and Jax. Against the other strong LCK top laners like Keen, Doran, and Siwu, Zeus has been able to find standout moments and consistently strong play in every series. Probably the most notable quality of his, though, is the sheer amount of damage he does in teamfights. More so than any other top laner I've watched this year, Zeus always finds a way to pump a ridiculous amount of DPS into pretty much every teamfight he shows up to, being a force for the team's wins in the most critical points of the game. Basically, when it comes to virtually every skill you could want a top laner to have, Zeus is up there as one of the best to do it. The spirit of this team, though, has to
Right, Mr. Zeus, Mr. Zeus. Whew. This is a tricky one, to be honest. Now, I would have to say that you can say that Zeus is like number one, number two in terms of top lane based on damage and performance that he has done. Maybe top three is he's lucky, but based on everything that he has said and done, by the way, if you notice that Hanwha Life Esports are going in as the favorites to win this tournament by the market, of course, 39% at the time of recording, of course. We haven't even updated, but 39% is like showcasing that, yeah, they are clearly the favorites, of course. And in large part because of how this team has performed well, of course, in this year. You know, the format kind of screwed them, of course, and all the kind of stuff. But at the same time, it is players like the aforementioned Zeus that has performed well. So if you look at Zeus, this guy can play any kind of champion, of course. If you want to play tank champions, he can play tank champions. If you want to play Vayne in the top lane, you can play Vayne in the top lane. He can play the aggressive style champions in most cases. He can do that as well. And if you look at the numbers, yes, you look at the numbers. He's got a 3.8 KDA, which is not great, but it's not bad either. He's got a 54.7% in kill participation. And by the way, these are regular season numbers, not the overall season numbers. 18.2% in kill shares, 18.7 in death, 144 goal difference at 10 minutes versus 136 SPD at 10 minutes. With an 8.2 CS per minute, with a 664 damage per minute, that is incredibly high, especially for a top laner. And a 22.2% damage percentage, 19.6% goal share, with a 0.46 ward per minute and 0.15 wards clear per minute. So if you look at Zeus, he has been absolutely brilliant, especially with the champion pool that he's got. You know, he can absolutely dominate in the top lane with his weak side, of course, carries aggressiveness if he wants to. This guy is absolutely the real deal. Now, is he like top god? Is he the best top laner in all the tournaments? Well, we look at the top lanes right now that I ranked so far. You can say that like the rest of the top laners have not been great in my opinion. Some of them I ranked them B, others I kind of look like a C, and then of course one of them is D because they haven't even proven yet. But I think you can say Zeus is probably one of the best top laners we have in this tournament. Is he better than Ben though? That's a really hard question. That's a really hard question to ask. If we get to that matchup between him and Ben, that's going to be the real question. But I have to say, Zeus is going to be my A tier top laner for this tournament. Let me just scoot over. There you go. And I'm gonna go with Zeus as the top laner. Now, as for the player rankings, ooh, I'm still saying that Ben is the better top laner. I think you can say that he's great, but I think, listen, it's going to be really hard to topple Ben, of course, consider the form he's in and consider the body of work he has done. But I can say that you can put Zeus as number one. You can put Zeus as number two, but I'll put Zeus as number two for the while. But I have to say, man, this is really, flip a coin. You can see Zeus and Ben, of course, at top one, top two. It's a really tough one. It's a really tough one to do. Now on to Kanavi.
Has to be their new signing, Kanavi. When it comes to Kanavi in this channel, I'm sure plenty of people will point towards my long-winded rants about his drop in performance at Worlds 2025. However, I really don't want people to get it twisted. I don't hate Kanavi at all. In fact, Kanavi is one of the players I'm more interested in, as evidenced by the fact that it wouldn't make any sense for me to get that passionate about a player I didn't give a rat's ass about. The reason why I'm so intrigued by Kanavi's gameplay is because he has the ability to take teams to insanely high ceilings due to his affinity for playmaking and aggression. He may take it too far sometimes, but as I've said in the past, I always prefer players who have those aggressive qualities in them who have to learn how to pull back, over players who never developed those qualities at all.
True.
The reason why I say Kanavi is the spirit of this team is because much of the team's game plans revolve around his champion pool and his early game shot calling. With a large volume of games on champions like Vi, Jarvan, Xinjiao, and Pantheon, it becomes clear that Kanavi wants to make plays and make a lot of them. He's the epitome of the click-forward mindset, and his willingness to progress games at rapid rates has taken over the team as a whole, turning it into the playstyle of all 5 players. If giving Kanavi one high
We're getting to you, man. We're going to get to you, man. He's going to be my favorite player on this entire tournament. Mr. Kanavi, my friend. Mr. Kanavi. This jungler it's a real interesting case, to be honest. I mean, you can say that Kanavi is probably one of my favorite junglers in this tournament. The way he plays, the way he be aggressive, the way he does mostly everything to this team. It's like when he goes, Hanwha Life Esports goes as well. But it'd be interesting, of course, with the new meta, of course, with the bruiser style junglers, your Sejuanis, your Rek'Sais of the world, those kind of stuff. It will be interesting to see if this new style will be different, for him. But if we look at the stats by Kanavi, I think the stats are going to be pretty interesting. 3.5 KDA, 70% kill participation, which is really high. 21.3 kill shares, 26.3% death. 89 goal difference in 10 minutes compared to 137 at XPD. He's got 7.2 CS per minute, which is high. 553 damage per minute. That is close to Skumon in terms of damage per minute. By the way, these are regular season LCK stats that I pulled compared to the LEC playoff stats that I pulled. And yet, Kanavi has nearly 3 damage per minute less than Skumon. That is unbelievable. That is absolutely unbelievable. 18.5% damage, of course. 20.4 goal percentage. 0.35 wards per minute to 0.42 wards clear per minute. It shows that I think Kanavi has been absolutely unbelievable in this team. I think he has been absolutely unbelievable. Like, his performances has been good. He is going to be an absolute mouth handful for some of the best junglers. And by the way, if I look at the junglers right now, you look at Skumon, you look at Yike, Tian, even Tattoo is doing well in Fury, of course, and Inspired, and Owner. So this is like, this entire MSI is going to be like fully jungle-centric, in which the best junglers is going to dictate how MSI will go. Based on, of course, the meta being changed, of course. It will be interesting to see which jungler can adapt to the meta and also which junglers can at least overcome and do well in that certain meta. So that would be interesting. As for now, I think Kanavi is an A tier for me. Not S tier. I wish I would give someone an S tier soon. We'll get to Zeka, of course, but I'll give him an S tier. As for jungler, ooh, is he number 1 jungler? I don't think he's 10th. I have to literally change around the order of, junglers. I think Skumon, I'm sorry, man, but listen, I love Skumon and I really want Skumon to succeed. But I think I have to knock him down a peg. I have to literally knock him down a peg. So unfortunately for Skumon, you have to be the 4th best jungler. Yeah, the fourth best jungler. And let me just sort that order out. There you go. So Navi is number 3, a little bit below owner, of course. But you can say he's number 2 in some of the cases. So I think you can say Kanavi is like a top 3 jungler going into this tournament. All right. On to my favorite player on this team, Zeka. Show me what you got, Poro. Show me the greatness of the former 2022 World's Champion, by the way.
High-octane solo laner wasn't enough, the team's mid laner presents another sink or swim quality with Zeka, who has built a reputation of being one of the streakiest players out there. Most LoL Esports fans know of his huge glow-up for Worlds 2022, where he went from a middling player on a middling team to one of the best players in the world over the span of a couple of weeks. He was also up there as one of the best in the world back for HLE's first stand run in Split 1 of 2025. He has the ability to be that guy, and everyone knows it. Those expectations, though, make his shortcomings all the more noticeable and criticizable. Sometimes, Zeka goes through drop periods where he's barely scraping into the top half of LCK mid laners at all. This problem is further exacerbated by his champion pool, as historically he was only great on 5 champions, those being Sylas, Akali, Yone, Ahri, and Azir. All 5 champions are flashy, all have dashes, and all can experience tremendous failure when piloted incorrectly. So with his volatile champion pool in player form, how has Zeka fared this split? Luckily for HLE, he's currently online and looking poised to dominate. Not only has he been rampaging through LCK with plenty of high kill games where he took over in fights, but he's finally seemed to have added more champions to that once limited pool. His Ryze, Orianna, and Cassiopeia have all been great, but perhaps most noticeably, his Aurora has been excellent enough that its impact has been felt nearly as much as his melee picks have ever been. Zeka is currently in demon mode, and everyone at MSI should be scared if he's able to maintain that form. So far...
Oh, boy. Oh, Mr. Zeka. Like, we all talk about how great he is in MSI 2022. I mean, Worlds 2022, when he took this incredible, Cinderella DRX team to the title, by the way. And I got to see it firsthand how great he was, especially in Game 5 against EDG. Yeah, he was absolutely amazing, of course. That was the first moment I saw Zeka at Worlds to see, like, oh my god, this guy's the real freaking deal. He's the real freaking deal. So to see him 4 years later at an actual event again, in first stand is whatever, fine. He did well in first stand, but to see him in again right now and to elevate and to add his pool and to elevate his playstyle, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I think he's going in probably the best form he has ever been since 2025 first stand. Like he could be he could be. I think he said it. He's a little streaky. But, and I said the word but, the guy is in form right now. The guy is in absolute peak form. And the numbers, by the way, is going to tell us why. So he's got a 6.1 KDA. Same amount of KDA as Saint. He's got 67.2% kill participation, which is really high, of course. 28.9% kill shares with only a 14.4 deaths. That is second lowest tonight. Amazing. Incredible. Minus 22, goal difference at 10, XP per 10, minus 10, 47 with XPD difference at 10 minutes, 9.2 CS per minute. 9.2, which is one higher than Knight. He's put up Chovy-like CS numbers, of course. Insane. 743 damage per minute, which is like second highest to Cream. Unbelievable. 24.9% damage per minute, 21.8 goal percentage shares, 0.41 wards per minute, and 0.23 wards clear per minute. Zeka is absolutely a monster right now. The numbers said it best. The eye test said it best. He is putting up an absolute performance throughout this entire LCK second split. I'm not talking about the first split, of course, but the second split. I think he's an S tier. I think he's going in as the only S tier. Well, not for now. I think we all know who's the other S tier. But for now, I'm going to put him as S tier mid laner in this run. And as for the mid laners, I'm going to give him the number 2. I think we all know who's the number 1 is, but I can say with certainty, Zeka is going to be challenging Knight for the best mid laner in this tournament right now. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to talk about Mr. Gumayusi, the former T1 MVP from last year's World's victory, and the newest member for the Hanwha Life Esports. Consider all the drama that gone on, of course. I think it's that or the Zeus one. No, it's definitely the Gumayusi one. It's definitely the Gumayusi one. Take it away, Poro.
We've outlined 3 topside players who are clearly all unstable and unpredictable. To balance that out, the team needs at least one player who can be a rock for the team, and that player is their AD carry Gumayusi. In terms of fit on a team like this, I almost can't think of a better archetype of player. While Guma has had his fair share of dips in performance, and I've criticized him more than a few times in videos in the past, there's no doubt that he's a phenomenal system player, one of the best the world has ever seen. There are a lot of champions in League who have a specific job they need to do in a game, and Guma is historically great at most of those. Look no further than whenever Lethality Varus is a threat, as Guma is probably the most famous Varus player of all time. He's incredible at the other utility picks like Ashe and Jhin, he's solid on very positional picks like Misfortune, he can win lane with coordinated game plans with Caitlyn. Pretty much anything you need him to do for a team comp, he can do it. He's been tearing it up on other champions of varying styles too, like Ziggs, Xayah, Lucian, Senna, and even a Kog'Maw in the MSI qualification series. While Guma still isn't the best AD carry out there when it comes to putting a team on his back and carrying a game with a 1v9 champion, he doesn't need to do that on this team, since he has this crazy topside who all fight over who the main character is on a game-to-game basis. As a role player AD carry, nobody in the world is able to outdo Guma right now, and he's a big reason as to why the team is able to function how it does. Unfortunately,
Oh, who's gonna say something bad about Delight? I can feel it. I'm gonna save that one. So Gumayusi, my friend, he is not great, but it doesn't have to be great. He's more of a, you know, the I don't know, the steady calm. The steady calm. He's the how do I say this? Let me just think myself. He is the surfer trying to ride the choppy waves, of course. Stable, not too much to do, great in some champions, great in other champions, good enough to like not be good enough to carry the team, but good enough to be like getting like these decent numbers, which I think is showcased in the stats. Adigumi Yusi has a 4.4 KDA, 68.2% kill participation, 25.1 kill shares, 20.4 deaths, which is the highest among them. So, 97 goal difference at 10 minutes, 51 XPD at 10 minutes, 10 CS per minute, 806 damage per minute, which is a little bit high, of course. It's like top 5, of course. 26.8 damage per minute percentage, 26.9 gold percentage minute, 0.52 wards per minute, at 0.36 wards clear per minute. So Gumayusi is not the main character on this team, but he just doesn't have to, which is why I put him as a solid. Well, is he a solid B tier player? Because he's not the most dominant among all the players, of course. I think he's an A. I think he's an A for me. I think like the way he plays, the way he fits the team system. Like, listen, Zeus, Kanavi, and Zeka is going to be monsters in this team. And I think Gumayusi is going to be like the steady hand that can make this team go. And if all 3 fares, I think Gumayusi can have the ability to carry a game. Not all the time, but I think he can do really well trying to carry a game. So I think you can say that Gumayusi is more of a 4th best player on the team, but rather like not the biggest superstar. Kind of like the Austin Reeves of the team. Austin Reeves, highest, paid, undrafted player ever. Not the most highly taught superstar like your Doncic and your LeBron James, but he is solid enough to be like a decent facilitator on a really good team. So that's what I'm thinking about. I think Gumayusi is the Austin Reeves on this team. And I think the Austin Reeves of this team is deserved like, is he number 1 or number 2? I think he's number 2 for me. Although the way I don't think he's not as big of a carry like Pace. I think the way he plays, I don't think he's not a big a carry as Pace, to be honest. Pace is the ability to dominate and carry, of course. Gumayusi is not. So do I go number 2 based on like the facilitator or anything like that? I think I'm gonna go with Pace as number 2. I think sorry, Gumayusi, but I think I go with Pace as number 2 for now, and then I'll put Gumayusi as number 3. Okay, that leaves us with the support and the light. And I'm thinking this is it's not looking good, man. It's not looking good for my guy, man. He is this doesn't look good, man. I'll let you do your sentence.
Fortunately for Guma, when it comes to being a player with sanity, he's all alone on the team as their support Delight is no less of a Fiesta player than the others. It's honestly a shame we spent so much time in a range support meta. Delight's most played picks this split include stuff like Seraphine, Lulu, and Nami. Now don't get me wrong, Delight is good at all of this and there's no issue with him picking it. He's 13 wins and 1 loss on those 3 champions, for example. When I say it's a shame, what I mean is that Delight has always been one of the premier engaged support players, and in the instances where he gets it, he still looks great at it. Delight is one of the only players who I give the green light to go blind Rakan early in a draft and just make it work. He's a master of finding game-warping angles and seizing big moments, which gives any team he's on an X-factor to it. His form can dip at times, and he's one of the less consistent performers on the team for sure, but when he's on, he's a key part of any world-class team. Take HLE's 3-1 against T1 to qualify for MSI, for example. Saw a win on Lulu, loss on Renata, everything seems normal so far. Game 1, he goes Camille support. Some regions are sold on a new strategy into Ezreal Karma or Ashe Seraphine, that being Ziggs Camille. Lane is fine, and then post 6 you trap someone in the Camille ult and then blow them up with an undodgeable Ziggs R. Delight is a complete psycho this game, running around making a couple of terrible plays and a whole lot of good ones. Then, in Game 4, he whips out the Blitzcrank support and throws some great hooks to give HLE the final win they needed. When you need a top-tier engager, Delight is your guy, and he'll do it on a wide variety of champs.
So you can say that Delight is really good at the Enchanter meta, but can be wacko when it comes to like supports and engages and all kind of stuff, like Camille and Blitzcrank. Like, what the heck? I never expected that to happen. But Delight is crazy at that. Is he good enough to beat Carrier? No way, no way. I'll put him as number 2, which means listen, I don't think I want to put Dynamite number 10, but I think he's the number 2 support we have right now, and I believe that feels like a pretty big outlier for him. Consider his numbers. He got a 4.9 KDA, which is second most, well, actually, third most among everybody besides Feng Wei and Bai. He's got a 73.9% kill participation, which is pretty solid, of course, and good. 6.5% percentage kill shares, which is third among all supports besides Keria, of course, and Bai. Those numbers are kind of outlier. 20.1%. That's 98 gold difference at 10, 44 XPD at 10, 1.2 CS per minute, and 223 damage per minute, with a 7.4% damage and 11.2% gold, 1.91 wards per minute, and 0.55 wards clear per minute. Delight is a head case, to be honest. He is good. He could be a little bit inconsistent sometimes, and it's gonna be like up. Well, let's just be honest. Listen, let's be brutally honest. I think you can say that Zeus, Kanavi, and Zeka could have great moments and then pretty much bad moments in this tournament. The same thing with Delight. I think Gumi is going to be the only like even kill player on this team to be good enough to elite carry. I think Delight is also that kind of in the category of all over the place. You never know on a given day. And if that happens, I think you could say that Hanwha Life Esports could go and went whenever the light goes. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how it goes for him. Based on his champion pool and based on how he plays, I'm giving him the solid A tier. I think he's an A tier for me. And it's time for me to talk, and it's time for Poro to talk about the team, how he projects, and then it's time for my opinions, how they get there, and all the kind of stuff. And then we wrap it up.
As a team, HLE are extremely exciting to watch. Historically, LCK has been the slower, more methodical region who win through macro and bleeding opponents out. LPL has been the faster and more aggressive region who win through constant fighting and mechanical skill checking. This has been the trend for over a decade, and it still exists today. For those who don't know, even though Kanavi is a Korean jungler, he played the majority of his career over in the LPL, frequently on top teams. It's this that makes HLE style so unique over in the LCK, as Kanavi brought that LPL flair with him. It's pretty clear that in Split 1, HLE wasn't a top tier team. They certainly weren't a bottom tier team, as the standings may have suggested, but they weren't a great team yet either. Kanavi came into the league, made 50 plays a game, and most of them looked like abhorrent ints. From this, a lot of takes were spread about HLE's issues, most of which were misdiagnosing the problem. People said that Kanavi was inting too much, that he needed to slow down, that he was making too many mistakes. The one who had the correct take, though, was none other than Kanavi himself. In an interview, Kanavi said the following: "I felt like I didn't play aggressively enough last time, so I told myself to go harder this time, and I did." A lot of times, when teams have players who look like they're inting, it's more so because of a misaligned game vision or bad comms. Individual players look their worst when the team isn't playing well together as a unit, and in my opinion, that was exactly what was happening to HLE in Split 1. Kanavi was going for a lot of plays that he thought were good from his time in the LPL, but his LCK teammates, even though they're some of the more aggressive-minded ones already, weren't quite used to the angles Kanavi saw. This would lead to Kanavi oftentimes going in alone due to the team reacting slowly to the play or hesitating, giving off the impression that Kanavi was inting. When that happened, Kanavi probably started hesitating on some of his own plays, making the ones he did go for look even more indecisive and weird. In Split 2, I think the biggest change HLE made as a team was trusting more of Kanavi's calls and letting him play his game while following up in time, and now they function as much more of a cohesive unit. Nowadays, HLE is by far the most active team the region has. They draft a lot of comps that involve combos and a whole lot of playmaking, and then the players run around in early and mid games, speeding up the map state. HLE go for a lot of dives, and most of them are good. The team also isn't afraid to make plays anywhere, as Guma is happy to lane 1v2 for periods of time, but the team wants to go for topside action. This leads to a super involved map where anything can happen at any time, applying a lot of pressure on opponents. Normally, teams like this have a weakness where if their early games don't go to plan, they falter. They make their game plans reliant on getting leads, and when the leads don't come, they have no backup. HLE has a backup in these circumstances, and it comes in the form of their excellent team fighting. In terms of target selection and timing, HLE are quite possibly the best team in the world, and they've made a number of comebacks through these clean moments. So, how do I think HLE will do at MSI? Well, I think they're definitely one of the favorites to win it all. Multiple of their players are fighting for the title of best in their respective roles, and the team plays an extremely viable brand of League of Legends together with good synergy. Kanavi already has some experience toppling some of the best and most aggressive LPL squads, and HLE can lean into that to get better matchups against BLG and Top Esports. The only Western team that may pose a threat for this squad would be G2, as we saw them 6-0 the LCK at first stand. Genji and Fearx are slower teams though, and HLE has a brand more similar to BLG, who G2 had very little answers for. I wouldn't be surprised if HLE can completely bulldoze their way through that matchup. The makeup of the team is also just scary on an international stage. Zeus, Seka, and Gumayusi are all great international risers most of the time, which means we may see an even better version of this team at MSI than we did back in LCK. I certainly wouldn't want to face off against HLE, regardless of which team I was. At minimum, HLE should be top 3. Realistically, top 2 with BLG being the scariest opponent. Regardless, this team is a huge threat, and people should look at them as title contenders. That's all I have for you for this one.
All right. I agree with this. I think they're top 3, top 2 in my opinion. But it's time for us to look at the team stats in basically. Let's look at the team stats for Hanwha Life Esports. So they have a 1.31 KDA with a 1.05 combined kills per minute, 0.91 goal percentage rate, with a 6.80 goal spend per rate, which is the highest among all the teams, besides BLG. 58.5 on the early game rate, which is like the highest among all the teams. Well, the second highest, of course, besides G2. But a 15.9 mid to late rate, which, by the way, is not as bad. Like they're second to T1, of course, in mid late rate. And then you got 56 first blood rate, 67 first tower rate, 72% of the first 3 towers rate, which is highest among all the teams. 68% on the Herald percentage. First Drake percentage at 37%, which is, yeah, not great. Did I get the name right? Yeah, okay. Yeah. What I said, 50, hold up. 27%. There you go. 64%. Oh, 64% on the Drake. 27% on Herald. So they're not as good as Herald. Okay, there you go. 64% on the first Drake. 56% on the Dragon percentage. 86% on the Baron. 49.8% on the lane, which is lowest among all of them. And 54% on the jungle. 3.71 wards per minute. And then 1.29 controls per minute being paid. Hanwha Life Esports is a kind of team that can dominate and just beat you up and have this dominant, aggressive kind of style, but also can slow you down and actually team fight you. They are going to be your in-your-face LCK team with your LPL style. And that's going to be really, really scary. They can slow down and actually destroy you guys and beat you with your macro, but also can just hand fight you and dominate it time at a time and leaving you nothing to breathe. And it just dominates you. And it's really scary. Their versatility, their quality, and the fact that their players are kind of like A tier and S tier in most cases are going to be really, really going to be the factor of see who's going to be the best. It's going to be really interesting. For Hanwha Life Esports, by the way, in terms of international performances and, of course, age, there are 23.4. 173 games for Gumi, which is most of it, of course, on T1, including Zeus with 142. For Kanavi, Zeka, and Delight, they have 79, 64, and 62, respectively, which means they have 520 games of experience combined, which is the third most among all teams. Actually, fourth most among teams. G2 and BLG and T1. And yeah, those are the only three teams that are ahead of them. For MSI appearances, this is their first MSI appearance, of course, but they have won first stand in 2025, so this is not their first international experience rodeo. And of course, they made it a couple of worlds, of course. Most notably the quarterfinals in 2024, and then of course kind of failed in 2025, I guess. Anyways, for the road to Daejeon, their road to Daejeon is pretty much smooth sailing. The format is kind of weird, of course, but as he said, 15-3 in the regular season, 32-11, and then just beat T1 in the qualification series, and that was it. They're into the dance. As per mentioned, of course, in the start, Hanwha Life has a 39% chance to win, of course, which is no surprise because of how good they were at, the entire LCK season. And of course, what they did in T1 in the first stand, I think they're going in as the favorites. One of the favorites. He said, Poro said it's top three. I think I can agree with him, but I think for now, they are a top two team for me. They're number two. I think we all know what number one is. But, that concludes the predictions for Hanwha Life Esports. And ladies and gentlemen, we are down to one more team and one more team remaining. It is BLG. And tomorrow we will wrap up the preview with Bilibili Gaming to see if Bilibili Gaming can continue their golden road domination or will crumble under their feet. Anyways, guys, thank you all for watching. Make sure you follow Psychopathic Poro's YouTube channel and all this kind of stuff. Make sure you follow my channel and Twitter and Instagram and all kind of stuff. And actually, I don't do Instagram as much. Maybe TikTok. Yeah, those kind of stuff. Anyways, thank you all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the final preview of the mid-season team preview extravaganza. And I will see you all next time. Drink water. Make sure your pets get neutered. Help the pet population. Watch the World Cup. Cheer your heart out. And, all the kind of stuff. Anyways, thank you all for watching. Be safe.